course we can. I believe that we can do anything we want. Once we get our mindset on it, I'm sorry, off we go.
Crazy, it's stressful, but I love it. You know what I mean? And just recharge, go away, and just not think about it because right away you run back in because you miss it.
It's not just a job. It's kind of like a lifestyle already. It's not a job, it's not a career.
Together,
Boom, boom,
yep.
boom, boom, boom,
and
boom,
we
it's
and we
done.
get it done.
Hi everyone. Today we have a guest in our studio. Today we have Tiffany here. Tiffany is an account executive. She's been in the industry for quite a while. So today we want to talk about women in the industry. Hi Tiffany.
Hello.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I'm with LoanWise, a non-QM lender. And I have been in the mortgage business for over 35 years. And I love doing what I do. And basically, that's it. I mean, what else?
35 years. That's quite a career. You've seen a lot of different times. You've seen a lot of different struggles, I bet.
I did. I started out straight out from high school. I fell into the business actually because nowadays you hear people going, "Oh, I'm looking for my dream job." And back in the days, I just wanted a job. So when I graduated high school, my uncle owned a mortgage business and said to me, "Why don't you come in and help me out?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." So back in the days, after a loan was packaged, we had to make copies. So we had to make copy of the packages, one sent to the lender and one we have to keep. And then we used to put these trans boxes in there and we have to drop it on time so then the lender gets it the next day. So just helping him out there, and I fell in love with the business. I mean, it was just interesting. You get to help people get into homes, you get people, getting cash out for whatever they need. And so on. So I just fell into it, and I was very fortunate to fall into it very, very young. And I've been in it since then.
That's amazing. That's quite a career. Throughout that many years, what inspired you to stay in the business? What kept you going and kept you motivated?
I think it's working with brokers like yourself, which I mean, you and I, as soon as we get on the phone when we have a problem, as soon as we have a problem, you and I get on the phone. We just put our brain together,
Boom, boom,
yep,
boom, boom, boom,
and
boom,
we
it's
and we
done.
get it done. And I think that's such a thrill for me that I'm able to do that as a team, because obviously I couldn't do all this myself. I just stayed in it because I think it's just such a great business. It makes you think outside of the box. It makes you just use your brain a lot, and then when you get things done, it's just so satisfaction. It's just so much. I just don't know how to. It's kind of
There's
like
no word to describe.
there's just
no
no
one word to describe.
Yeah.
I feel you from the first word you said. It is something else. It's different.
It is.
And
It is.
talking to clients, talking to account executives or other fellows, loan officers or agents, it doesn't matter. The feedback and the lively conversation and the ability to actually get something done, especially when it's a difficult case like we had recently.
We've had
not
a
that long
few.
ago. We've had, oh my God, we've had a few.
We've had a
Very
few.
fun ones.
Yes.
And being able, at the end of the day, there's your loan docs, here's your keys, you are done, this is your house. No matter how difficult it was, how stressful it was, you still carry it through the finish line.
It's true. And for me, even though me being an AE, every single file I feel it's my file. As it's
Yes.
your file. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're all in one to get to the finish line.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something else. I mean, I can talk about my job, my work, I don't know, for hours probably, and happens quite a lot. But let's get to the soul searching part of the questions. So, being a woman in this industry, staying in this industry for 35 years, and a lot have changed throughout this 35 years. How is it? How did it feel? What challenges did you face? There's so many questions I want to ask, so start talking and I'll pick up.
I mean, it's definitely, I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely gonna be difficult. It's difficult. When I first started this business back in the 1980s, there's no doubt it's a man's world in the mortgage business, right? Especially sales, right? Sales are men and women are more operational. And no doubt, I started as an operation. I started as an account manager. I started as a processor. And I just worked my way up. And, and it's really strange that you say that because it's still true today. It is true.
Seriously, in this world?
In this, yes. So I feel that us women in the man's world, we have to have thick skin. We have to have knowledge. Don't use your looks and your body to get business, but to use your brain and what you're able to do for people. So obviously, then we get respected, right? So a lot of women who's like, oh, I don't get respected, or something like this. Well, you're probably not showing them your knowledge and you're showing them, I'm sorry,
Other
your
parts.
legs. Yeah, I'm just
Other
gonna say
parts.
your legs, So, it's it's tough. It's very, very tough. I was very fortunate to work my way up in this mortgage business, and back in the year 2000, I was able to work for a company that was or should say, run by a woman's CEO.
Okay.
Her name is Amy Brandt, and that was something already not normal, right?
Non-conventional.
It's not
Thank you.
conventional. It's not, but she was an amazing woman, and she ran our team, and believe it or not, we nationwide, over 200 and something salespeople, we had 3 women on the top 10. Yeah. Three. I was number 6, so I made it in the top 10. And I think that's something that's very, we should be proud of ourselves, because we do work in the man's world, and they do, how do I say it? They do.
Objectify at times, right?
I mean, I'm going to talk about it,
Just be straight.
Yeah.
It's
I
all
mean,
right.
I had a situation where, I was pregnant with my last baby, and I was definitely sales, and I was doing my numbers and stuff. And at the end of 9 months, I have to give birth, so
Yeah, it has to come out.
it has to come out. And my CEO was very nice enough. She set me up at home, and I was working from home. And even working from home, I had a guy at work try to steal my account. Yeah. So you see, so in a way, for me, it's kind of like it's really, really tough. But I fought through it, and I will tell you my most recent experience. I'm not going to name a company, but I started with a company, and it was a man's wear. It was a boys' club. So yeah, I was really surprised that it's still happening today. And I'm going to tell you it's still happening today. I was there for 10 months, did my numbers, whatever I needed to do. But, I left as soon as, it's not because I couldn't handle it. I just know I'm better than that. I don't need to be
You don't
working
need
for
to,
the boys'
yes.
club.
You don't need to prove yourself to anyone.
I know who I am. You know what I mean? It's like, I know
Yeah.
who I am, I know what I can do. But you're absolutely right. That what I would advise women today trying to get into the business is, like you. I mean, when I talk to you, like you know your stuff. You're smart, you know your stuff. And for me to work with a woman like this, it makes me proud.
Right?
Yeah, it
As
does.
girls, right? We
I'm
can
so,
do it.
yeah, I'm so proud. I'm so, I'm glad we've gone such a long way that we women can break into the mortgage business successfully.
Of course we can. I believe that we can do anything we want. Once we get our mindset on it, I'm sorry, off we go. There's no way to stop us anymore.
Yeah. But again, I would say 5 or 6 years ago, I did work for a company that we do conventions. The conventions that we do. Yeah. So, of course, when you go to conventions, you meet brokers. And I did have one, I'll call it, I mean, she's in her 20s, right? So, she was dressing very provocative, and she was doing a lot of things that I thought, you know, as a woman, we fought so hard, to have a place in the mortgage world without showing our sex appeal. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just so for me, it's like, be smart about it. Don't let them think you're just
Don't drag everyone back into that place
And
because we're
that's
not there
what that was a
anymore.
one disappointing thing
Hmm.
that I thought some women still are doing.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a way, I don't think this ever will go away. Some women will still use their different powers, not the brain maybe, but other features. But as long as there is a right motivation and a right heart and a right head behind it, the way I look at it, I mean, if you want to flaunt it, but you got to back it up by something that you can actually do. Got to support your features with an actual work that you do. Let me get back a little bit. You did mention about your maternity leave and about the pregnancy, and I know you have kids. And for me, this is something that I mean, I was fortunate. Before I came here, I already had my two kids, and the company that I worked for before was not a mortgage industry; it was an insurance company. It was a smaller business. They were very understanding. They supported me through the entire process. I had no struggles whatsoever. But my mind wanders because the way that all this entire subject of having kids of maternity leaves here in the United States is very different from where I grew up in, or for a lot different from a lot of places in Europe. You only got 3 months.
Actually, I don't know if we have 3 months.
Exactly, not even. Yes.
Yes, and I had my last kid. Um, Probably I took a week off, and I got back on the phone.
A week off.
I took a week off, and I got back on the phone
A
because I
week.
was sales.
A week. What did you do in the morning when you had to pick up a call, but you didn't sleep all night because your baby was crying?
You push through it, right? You push through it. One of the thing I think that have me going is I love what I do. I really do. I love what I do. And I remember COVID hit,
Oh,
right? Yeah,
yes.
COVID hit. And my daughter, who is a recruiter, I have two of them, they're recruiting, and they're like, Mom, come over and do recruiting. And I said, I can't. I said, my heart is in the mortgage. If it's slow, let it be, but I can close my eyes and I know what to do with mortgages. You know what I mean? But it's in I see it. It's also in your soul. It's in my heart and my soul.
Somehow all this makes so much sense, and it's so rewarding. I know it's not for everyone. I mean, I keep saying it's not for everyone. Not everybody can get through this. Not everybody can find themselves a place in mortgage industry. But if you do, and if you feel it, if you know it, it's a completely different game. It's not just a job. It's kind of like a lifestyle already. It's not a job, it's not a career. When you love what you do, you just do
You
it.
just do
Yeah.
it. So yeah, I get up. I mean, of course, my husband helps me a lot. There's no doubt about that. He allows me to do what I do. So he helps me with the kids and driving them. So all I did was work, and I was very, very fortunate to be able to work this many years in the business. And luckily for me, I'm still in the business and still loving it.
That's great. What would be your piece of wisdom, your pearl of wisdom to new girls, new women who are coming in the industry right now and trying to find themselves a place or try it out if this is something that fits? What would you say? What would you recommend? What wisdom can you share?
Okay, well, because our mortgage industry is pretty wide, right? There can be mortgage broker, can be sales, can be all of that. I think that to do well in the mortgage business, you have to like it. I would say intern first. Intern, like I did. I was making copies, and doing like intern first and see if you like the business. And then if you do like the business, go in it with your heart and soul. Don't go in it by saying I can use my sex appeal or anything like that to get business. Go in, and like you and I, we didn't need to do things like this. We were successful just loving what we do and talking to each other, talking to anyone who loved the business. You can tell that person loved what they do. And it's funny because Alex earlier said it's crazy, it's stressful, but I love it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
you've got to be a little crazy.
I remember many times you and I pick up the phone, when we're stressed about a file.
Yeah. Yeah. It
And,
comes with the territory. You have to have a good level of endurance for stress, definitely. But I think you also have to be a woman about it. I mean, I don't want to sound not judgmental, but what's the word that I'm looking for? I don't want to sound objectifying anyone, but there is a difference between men and women, right? I mean, you
yes,
can't argue with nature. There is a difference.
there is a
There's one
difference.
huge difference and a lot of little differences, right?
Correct, correct.
Girls, women are more nurturing, soft,
Correct.
passionate, and not afraid to show their passion about things, right? Loving and not afraid to show that they're loving, caring. And I think all those qualities that are given to women by nature, they definitely help.
Absolutely. But do you think all women has that? The
Well,
nurturing, the
nowadays, I think it's a little different.
right?
Yeah, nowadays things are different. Girls are being raised different from what how we were raised. But I think it's still in you by nature. You have those qualities. It's just you choose maybe to hide them or not to use them for whatever reasons, or maybe they're not as inflamed in one person and one girl, maybe the other one has more. But just as long as you're honest with yourself and you understand that you like something, don't be afraid to like it.
Correct.
If you love your job, don't be afraid to love it.
You know what? That's a good thing. You don't be afraid to go for it because I remember starting, in this business being an account manager and seeing all the men being in the sales, I never thought myself, to be in that position because you're always afraid, right? But once you're there, and this is one of the reason why I love to talk about women in this business because I personally today have two younger ladies that I'm mentoring in the business, and they are doing really well, and I'm just really really proud. And this is also something probably for you too. Eventually, when you bring new people in and you're training, you're definitely mentoring them.
Yeah, it's not just saying, okay, this is how you do this is how you do that. It's more of a mentorship because there's no similar case. Although the process is the same pretty much for every file, the steps are the same, everything is about the same, but they're always different. It's a different person. There's a different person behind that name, behind that set of documents, and you talk to them differently. You structure the file. Everything is different. So you have to be able to kind of maneuver. And that's the mentorship. This is where you don't just teach them how to do things. You also have to mentor them on how to, yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think women being in the mortgage business is great. I just think you have to have the personality. I think that you have to, other than being the nurturing, I think you have to also be able to think outside of the box, especially in non-QM, or I mean loans and period, right? In general, you just have. Right, you just have to. It's just not like, oh, yes or no, right? It's and you and I are very good at that because I love working with you. Every time you make a phone call, and it's like, okay, let's put our head together, and somehow, luckily, we get it done, or not. Maybe we're able to do that because we can think out of the box. So I suggest women, they should get into the mortgage business. I think it's a great business. Just do it, the right way, and so if you don't want, men or anybody looking at you differently, then
Gotta be on the same level and use your brain instead of everything else. Now, you mentioned you're mentoring two new girls right now. Um, Definitely, I'm sure you're influencing them a lot, bringing them into the industry. But was there a person who did the same for you, who influenced, inspired you, who helped you in that mentoring kind of a way?
Actually, no. No. Like I said, when I spoke about it before, I just fell into the business, right? So, I just got my uncle owned a mortgage business. I came in there, I fell in love with it. I learned it in within 2 months. I got a job out, somewhere else really, really fast, and I just grew on my own. I wish I did have somebody that can mentor me, but I don't. And the reason I'm mentoring these two girls is because actually they asked me and said, And nobody ever asked me that, because for me, it's like I was just doing my thing. But when they said that, I'm like, yes. I'm like, yes. Like, yes, yes. And they're so smart, and I just know these two girls will succeed. There's no doubt. I mean, you just know when you know somebody, even though they don't know the business very well, but just the way they handle everything,
You can see it.
you can see it. So I'm really, really excited. One of them is actually an AE. And one of them is actually my internal assistant that I'm training her to be,
Yeah.
an AE. So, yes. So, no, I don't. Did you have anybody who mentored you?
Not a girl.
Okay, no, but it doesn't have to be. Did you?
Yeah, no, well, Alex, of course, when I got into industry,
Okay.
just like you, fell into the industry. It just happened.
Right.
Alex has mentored me. He explained a lot of things. He helped me with a lot of different issues and just kind of to get in the flow and manage the stress and everything. I would always look back to him. But for me, there still is a woman who inspired me a lot, and it's two women who inspired me a lot. Um, First of all, my mom. My mom raised me by herself. My dad was out of the picture when I was 7. Um, she had to go through a lot of trouble being a woman, being a single mom, and we lived in Russia back at the time, and it was like just 90s. Um, Tough times. I'm pretty sure it was really tough on my mom, considering the fact that she has to do it all by herself. She was very proud. She didn't want to ask help from her parents. Um, so we managed somehow, and then one day she decided that we needed to move to States. So she dragged me over here because I'm sorry, I was a stupid little kid with a dream of her own. I was 17. I thought that I want to live in that country. I'm going to do everything. I don't need America. I don't need nothing. I can do it. She was very understanding about it. She's like, yeah, yeah, of course. Let's just go for a couple of months, and then you'll go back. And she kind of kept me, in this sense of freedom that I can decide. And eventually, when I got to kind of compare the two worlds, I mean, two countries, I realized that no, 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 no. And to this day, I'm really, really thankful to her and to what she did for me, the life that she helped me build here. And she's a person who inspires me a lot, being able to actually do it on her own. And another person is my grandma. My mom's my maternal grandma. She's here right now as well in the States. My mom brought her in, but she has been always this, and my grandpa has always been in the picture, so she had a different experience, of the family and having kids and etc. But she was always this model of a very powerful, very serious, strict woman in the mountains world.
Yeah, yeah.
Who can do things. She was really, really, and we're talking back in Soviets, it's a different story as well.
Yes, yes.
But I remember her while she was working, and when I would come to her work to kind of like chill, run around, I was still little. And I remember how she would handle herself. The grace, the confidence, and I picked up a lot of that from her.
I wanted to say
being, where I am right now, because managing people, having a team under you is not easy.
No.
It's not easy, yeah.
So when you mention your grandmother, I think of you because obviously you and I work with each other, and I almost feel like you describe yourself.
Oh yeah, we are a lot similar in that sense. And funny thing is, my daughter is, I think, even more similar to my grandma. She's only 8. She's only 8, but she's very demanding, strict, powerful, and I'm like, come on, you're just 8. Just chill a little bit. You'll get there. You'll have your chance.
She sounds like she's going to be a little mini you.
She's going places, all right.
Yes, yes. No, it's funny that you said that. I didn't think my grandmother as a mentor, but she was definitely my hero. She's 100. Well, she passed away a few years ago, like 101. But she was a woman that was in Vietnam, did not get an education. So she didn't know how to, she spoke obviously, but she didn't know how to read or write in any language. And she had 10 kids, and she built a business, a shoe business, successful shoe business, in Vietnam. And this is a woman that I look up to, because how is it possible that she's so successful in her life? And as you said, she's a strong woman, right? She's in a business world. She built up this empire in Vietnam. She sent her 3 of her 10 children to the U.S. to study ahead of time. So I didn't have a mentor, but I can say I had a hero.
Hero and
To look
inspiration.
inspiration.
Wow, this proves basically the story right here proves my belief that women can do anything. No education, not knowing how to write or read in any language, and you still manage to do it.
To be successful and build an empire.
There you go.
And have a family. I mean, just this is just something that I don't think that it's going to be, I would see in my lifetime. But when she passed away, she probably had 21 grandchildren. I'm not talking about spouses, just real direct, like grandchildren, 23 great grandchildren, and then she had 2 great great grandchildren. So when our family get together,
Oh, wow.
we're about 80 people.
80
Well,
people.
because
That's just
remember,
a small family dinner.
well, because remember, it's like 23 grandkids and spouses.
Exactly.
Right? And then the grandchildren, great grandchildren, spouses. Right?
And maybe some kids of their own, and it's like, yeah,
And this
it's
is a
awesome.
woman who did not know how to read, write, build a business, and built this beautiful big family that most people would want. I would want that. I don't think I would have it.
I mean, I don't think I would have. I mean, I still could, but I can't imagine women having 10 kids. 10 kids. It's just like, it's a lot. I mean, having 2 kids is already plenty for me. I mean, I'm done. I was like, you know what? This is enough. I'm good. But I can't imagine. I mean, I have friends who have 3, 4 kids, but I just can't picture myself.
I know.
10.
Hats off to these women.
Yes,
How
definitely.
many kids did your grandmother have?
My mom is the only child, and I'm the only child as well of my mom's. But then I had to. Yeah. My great grandma had 2 kids. My grandma and her brother, who passed away a few years ago. But my great grandma came out of a family of 7 kids, 7 girls, no boys.
So is it normal in Russia to just have 1 or 2 kids back then?
Back then, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about maybe 40 years ago or so, people would have more more kids in their families. Back when, oh, not even 40. Oh my God, we're in 2023. What am I talking about? We're talking like 100 years ago, okay? I'm sorry, I kind of got lost in time. But back when my mom was born, back when I was born, the times were tough, so people wouldn't risk it. Yeah. It was much easier and still is much easier. Probably shouldn't say that, not much easier, much more common to have more kids when you live in the villages, like when you have your own little farm, your garden, your vegetables, your few animals and stuff like that. Those types of families or locations, they have more kids. But in the city level, no, not really. I mean, it's difficult. It's kind of difficult to manage. You're not sure how the future is going to go, especially back in Russia. I mean, you never know over there how
True.
things are going to turn and when they're going to turn to something really bad. But
True. It's true.
people
It's
are not
true.
risking it. I see a lot of bigger families right now throughout my friends who I still keep in
Oh.
touch with.
In Russia.
In Russia,
okay.
yeah, it kind of is divided basically. So it's either a single girl just lives by herself, does not want family, doesn't have any kids, she's like, I'm good. Or the other way around, they have 2, 3 kids.
Okay, so 2, 3.
But yeah, but that's my friends, like people that I kind of went to school with. I'm pretty sure it's not like that everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing less kids nowadays anyway. Even in the U.S., you hear a lot of girls are saying they don't want children.
Yeah, I actually have been hearing a lot of this, especially lately. Somehow I've been maybe focusing on it because I'm kind of like done with having more kids. Maybe that's why. But I've spoken to a lot of girls who just say that they don't want any kids. They selecting to be child free. I'm like, well, I respect the choice. It's a lot of work to have kids, to raise kids, to support them, to get them to someplace while you trying to make sure that they're going to be good people. Because
Right.
you don't want to, you don't want
Yeah.
any trouble. You don't want to
Correct.
be somebody's, oh, that person raised, you
Yes.
don't want to be that. But um, I respect the choice. But the only thing I always never say never, in this situation. Things may change. I mean, we live in a world right now where you can have kids when you're 40 plus. You don't have to have them early. You don't have to make this life decision right now. Just never say never.
I think
We'll
they
see how
are
it
making
goes.
it later nowadays
Oh, even
anyway.
later,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're getting married
Mm-hmm.
later and they're getting having children later. Well, then maybe they can, concentrate more in their career and
And
maybe in the
that's, yeah.
mortgage,
And maybe the mortgage. But
Right?
let's work on the maternity leave, because I mean, come on.
I agreed. It was definitely my choice. And as you heard at the beginning, you know, me going on maternity leave and, other people are fighting for the accounts.
Yeah.
So I got up and worked. I got up and I worked.
You had no choice. So one last question I have for you. This is again a sensitive subject, but I do want to ask because I've been through this a couple of times, and in 35 years of experience, I'm sure you've been there at least once. So throughout all this time, have you ever felt like giving up? Have you ever burnt out? And if so, how did you get through it?
I mean, obviously, for the 30 something years in the business, I'm looking back and I don't think, unless I don't remember, I don't think have ever given up. I mean, I've had problems where a loan didn't go through and I felt bad because let's say we couldn't get in, we couldn't get the borrow in. And as when we help a client, we know their business, right? Maybe somebody's pregnant, they need to get in the house before the baby delivery. And for some reason, I take them more seriously, like if it's my own. Um, Giving up, no, I don't think so. It gets tough, no doubt. I mean, I lose sleep. I will dream about it or nightmare, if you call it whatever. But I don't think I ever thought to give up, even today. I think I'm so blessed I'm still able to do it. Has it gotten hard? Yes. There's hard times, but no, I don't think I've ever can say that I've ever said, "Oh, it's too hard, I give up."
Or
Oh,
felt
okay.
like
Burnt out is a little bit different than give
there you
up, right?
go.
Burnt out is give
Yes.
up. I tend to take vacations.
Good.
Yes, I tend to take vacations, even though I'm working on my vacation. Um, Burnt out, yeah, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Sometimes when it's just too much, when everyone is like counting on you, um, so I just step back a little bit and kind of like just take a little vacation, and when I come back, I'm ready to go.
You just recharge.
I just need to recharge, and I think that's where you just came back from Cancun.
Yes, yes, yes. It's
Yes.
definitely necessary. I think, regardless of the industry, regardless mortgage or no mortgage, anywhere you work, if you're passionate about it, you get to a point where you just so overwhelmed because you care about what you do. You're so overwhelmed, and you need to just say, okay, I need a break. And you have to take that break for sure.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, and especially women with children,
Yeah.
in the business. Because I mean, I don't know you mentioned your daughter's I have three daughters, and I felt like when I was in my prime in my 30s and my 30s and 40s, I felt like I didn't have a lot of time with them.
Yeah, the guilt trip of not performing as a parent. Oh,
I didn't feel like, so for me, I think that it's important for all of us to kind of take some time out to be with our daughters. you know, and our
Yeah.
and our sons, and vacation, family vacation. I think it's important. Sometimes we forget because we're so in it. We want to get this loan done. If we leave, then
It's like,
something's
I'm
gonna happen.
Just finish this one. I'll just finish this one, and then I'll go.
Right,
And
right,
then
right,
it
right.
never finishes.
Right,
A new
right.
one comes in.
Right. But yes, we do get burnt out. I do agree. We do get burnt out. And just recharge, go away, you know, and just not think about it because right away you run back in because you miss it. I do.
Oh yeah, you do miss it at the end. I mean, it's kind of hard the first week being back, but then you get right into it and you keep going. Well, thank you very much, Tiffany.
Thank you so
It was
much for
very
having
nice
me.
to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I enjoyed our conversation, and
Me
I'm sure
too.
we can talk more and more and more about it.